All right, week 6 in the Avocademy UX Bootcamp, and I am definitely in the nitty-gritty of the actual design process. I spent the large majority of the past week working on my wireframes, and no joke, I probably poured 7 to 8 focused hours into designing them. I had finished my low fidelity wireframes, and now I was working on my medium fidelity wireframes. The difference between low fidelity and medium fidelity is massive though, because whereas low fidelity just has these placeholders, squares, and circles as icons, medium fidelity, from what I understand, basically looks like the final polished product, just in grayscale without any sort of color scheme added. And so that's what made it so difficult for me, was getting it to a point to where I thought that it looked like a polished product. One of the big challenges I had with doing wireframes was that I knew what I wanted a particular screen to sort of talk about, but I didn't know how I wanted to design the elements. For example, I'm working on an app that helps connect musicians who want to collaborate together. And when working on a screen that displays potential musicians to collaborate with, I didn't exactly know how I wanted to structure the cards to display the information for the different musicians. So one of the ways I overcame that challenge was I used a website called Mobin, which is like this repository of app screens that I can sort through based on what screen type I'm looking for, whether it's a login screen or whether it's a specific component I'm trying to find, whether that's a button or a card. And the nice thing about Mobin is that they're all popular apps that you or I might be using today. And so with that being said, those designs have been extensively user tested. The problem with using something like Dribbble or Behance is a lot of them look really good from an aesthetic standpoint, but a lot of them haven't been user tested. So they look nice from a UI standpoint, but they haven't been tested as far as usability. And so therefore they may not apply super well when it comes to real world projects. So finally, after spending hours on these medium fidelity wireframes, I finally submitted it to our Slack channel for review from a Slack mentor. Now, Avocademy states that it typically takes 4 to 5 revisions to get the medium fidelity wireframes approved, just because it is such an involved process. But lo and behold, and yes, I'm about to brag here, I got the feedback from my mentor, and she said, and I quote, "I was blown away by these designs." And let me tell you that I was, 1, flattered, and 2, I was just thrilled that I did something right, which is great. Now, of course, I did have some minor revisions to do. Like, for example, she said that whenever I have a dialog box that shows up, I should maybe darken the screen behind it so that it pops a little more. And then she also said that the headings that I had were just a little bit too close to the back button that was above it, and to put more space in between that. But other than that, there were no major glaring issues, so that was just really nice to hear, to be honest. So I had 2 other things that I worked on as well, which was a mood board and a brand platform. So the mood board is basically this board that I designed in Figma that has images on one side and UI concepts on the other. And the images are supposed to either inspire me or feel relevant to the app that I'm designing. So for me, since I'm designing an app to help musicians collaborate, I put images of musicians songwriting. And I didn't really know what else to put here. I felt like I wasn't really expanding my creativity really well on this. And then for the UI components, I just sort of picked app designs that I thought looked kind of like what I wanted my app to eventually become. But I didn't have an objective way to really select them. It was sort of gut instinct. And below each of these things, I was supposed to put my rationale behind why I selected these images and UI concepts. But I will say this was kind of a difficult assignment, just because it is very abstract and it's not as cut and dry as some of the other previous ones. So then I worked on the brand platform, which is basically envisioning this app as a company and then I have to design its mission, its vision, as well as what its brand personality and attributes were. Now, mission and vision I'm pretty familiar with, so I found that that was a little bit easier to do. But when it came to brand personality, the essential definition of it is to give it human-like qualities and basically describe the app in terms of those human qualities. This was also really abstract, and when I submitted this for feedback, the feedback that I got said that my brand personality was too much like a mission and that I need to inject more human-like qualities into it. So I'll be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to this, so I'll have to meet with a mentor to figure that out. And as far as brand attributes, I just put things that I thought would be relevant to my app, especially things like inclusivity and judgment-free, since collaboration really flourishes when people are free to share ideas without fear of criticism. So as for next week, I will be building out the high fidelity screens for my app, as well as designing the style guide to accompany that. So the style guide has all the font sizes and types that I use, the color scheme that I'll be using, so that there is some sort of system in place for when future elements are created for this app. And truth be told, I'm still about a week behind when it comes to this Avocademy Bootcamp as a whole. The wireframes just took so long, so realistically I'll probably have to ask for an extension, but supposedly that is a reasonable thing to ask, and they do it on a pretty frequent basis. But yeah, if you'd like more information about Avocademy, I have a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so if you want to help support this channel, then that is a great way to do so. And if you want to save $100 off the bootcamp, you can do so by using the code SAVE100. As far as I know, that is still an active link that you can use to save some money off the course. And so I'll be sure to update you as I continue along this journey, as I transition from physical therapy to UX designer. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.